Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Devotees, today we are going, on the Padayatra, we are going to read from the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. We need a translation, I think. Are you going to do it? Yes? Okay? Like sort of regular back and forth style of thing. All right. So we're going to read 7th canto, chapter 9. Prahlad pacifies Lord Nrsingadev with prayers.
Skaitysim 7 giesmę, skyrių 9, kuris vadinasi Prahlada Maharajai nuramina Nrsingadevo maldomis.
And we will begin with verse 38.
Ir pradėsim nuo 38 teksto.
So I'll give the class this morning. Tomorrow, Adhikata Prabhu will give the class.
Šiandien aš skaitau paskaitą, o rytoj Adhikata Prabhu.
Haribol. Okay, 7:9:38.
7:9:38.
Itam nritirya, let's see. Itam nritirya grishi deva Jashavatarayar Lokan vibhavayasi hangsi jagat pratipan Dharmam mahapurusha pasi yuganuvritam Channa kalo yadabhavas triyugostasatvam. Yes. In this way, my Lord, you appear in various incarnations as a human being, an animal, a great saint, a demigod, a fish, or a tortoise, thus maintaining the entire creation in different planetary systems and killing the demoniac principles. According to the age, O my Lord, you protect the principles of religion. In the age of Kali, however, you do not assert yourself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore you're known as Tri Yuga, or the Lord who appears in 3 yugas.
Tokiu būdu mano viešpatie tu apsireiški įvairiomis inkarnacijomis, kaip žmogus, kaip gyvūnas, kaip išminčius, kaip pusdievis, kaip žuvis, kaip vėžlys, tokiu būdu palaikydamas visas skirtingas planetų sistemas ir nužudydamas demoniškus principus. Pagal amžių, o viešpatie, tu apsaugai religijos principus. Kita vertus, Kali amžiuje tu neapsireiški kaip aukščiausias Dievo asmuo. Dėl to tu esi žinomas kaip Tri Yuga, arba viešpats, kuris apsireiškia trijose jugose.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As the Lord appeared just to maintain Lord Brahma from the attack of Madhu and Kaitaba, he also appeared to protect the great devotee Prahlad Maharaj. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya appeared in order to protect the fallen souls of Kali Yuga. There are 4 yugas, or millenniums, Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali. In all the yugas but Kali Yuga, the Lord appears in various incarnations and asserts himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But although Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appears in Kali Yuga, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he never asserted himself as such. On the contrary, whenever Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was addressed as being as good as Krishna, he blocked his ears with his hands, denying his identity with Krishna, because he was playing the part of a devotee. Lord Chaitanya knew that in Kali Yuga there would be many bogus incarnations pretending to be God, and therefore he avoided asserting himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, in many Vedic literatures, especially in Srimad Bhagavatam, for example, 11.532. Krishna Varnan Tvisha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Yagyai Sankirtana Prayer Yajantihi Sumedhasa. In Kali Yuga, intelligent men worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's always accompanied by his associates, such as Nityananda, Advaita Gadadhar, and Srivas. The entire Krishna consciousness movement is based on the principles of the Sankirtan movement, inaugurated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, one who tries to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the medium of the Sankirtan movement knows everything perfectly. He is Sumedhas, a person with substantial intelligence.
Komentaras. Kaip viešpats apsireiškia palaikyti viešpatį Brahmą nuo Mado ir Pitavos užpuolio, jis taip pat apsireiškia ginti savo atsidavusius kaip Pralada Maharažą. Lygiai taip pat viešpats Chaitanya apsireiškia, kad ginti Kali Jugos sielas. Dėl to yra 4 jugos, arba amžiai – Satya, Treta, Dvapara ir Kali. Visose jugose, išskyrus Kali jugoj, viešpats apsireiškia skirtingose inkarnacijų ir pasiskelbęs kaip aukščiausias Dievo asmuo. Bet viešpats Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, kuris apsireiškia Kali jugoje, jis irgi yra aukščiausias Dievo asmuo, bet niekada nesiskelbia kaip tokiu. Kita vertus, kai viešpats Chaitanya Mahaprabhu būdavo kreipiamasi kaip Krishna, jis užsidengdavo ausis ir neigdavo, kad jis yra tapatus su Krishna, nes tai atliko atsidavusią rolę. Viešpats Chaitanya žinojo, kad Kali Jugoje bus daugybė apsimetėlių inkarnacijų, kurie save laikys viešpačiu. Dėl to jisai vengė laikyti save viešpačiu. Viešpats Chaitanya yra priimamas kaip pats aukščiausias Dievo asmuo. Dėl to daugybėje vedinių literatūrų, ypatingai Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32, Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sankopangas ir Prasadam, Agėjus Sankirtana Prayer Ginti jį Sumedhasa. Kali Jugoje išmintingas žmogus garbins aukščiausią Dievo asmenį. Šį Chaitanya Mahaprabhu formai, kuris visada sekamas jo palydovų, taip tokių kaip Nityananda, Advaita Gadadhar ir Srivasa. Visas Krishnos sąmonės judėjimas yra paremtas Sankirtanos judėjimo principu, kuris buvo pradėtas viešpaties Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Dėl to tas, kuris stengiasi suprasti aukščiausią Dievo asmenį per Sankirtanos judėjimą, žino viską tobulai. Jis yra sumedė arba žmogus, kuris turi gerą intelektą.
Itam nitirya grishideva jashavatarayan Lokan vibhavayasi hangsi jagat pratipan Dharmam mahapurusha pasi yuga nuvritam Channa kalo yadabhavas triyugo tasatvam. Translation again. In this way, my Lord, you appear in various incarnations as a human being, an animal, a great saint, a demigod, a fish, or a tortoise, thus maintaining the entire creation in different planetary systems and killing the demoniac principles. According to the age, O my Lord, you protect the principles of religion. In the age of Kali, however, you do not assert yourself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore you are known as Tri Yuga, or the Lord who appears in 3 yugas.
Tokiu būdu mano viešpatį apsireiškia skirtingomis inkarnacijomis, kaip žmogus, kaip gyvūnas, kaip išminčius, kaip pusdievis, kaip žuvis ar kaip vėžlys. Tokiu būdu palaikydamas visas visatos sistemas ir nurodydamas demoniškus principus. Pagal amžių mano viešpatį tu apsaugai religijos principus. Ir kali jūgai, kita vertus, tu neapsireiški kaip aukščiausias Dievo asmuo. Dėl to tu esi žinomas kaip trijūga, arba kaip viešpats, kuris apsireiškia trijose jūgose.
Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyatyades Tarane Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakapatribhyas chakripa sindubhyevacha patidanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the first full day of Padayatra, Lietuva 2019. Shri Padayatra ke, Shri Harinam Sankirtana ke, Shri Rathayatra Mahotsava ke. Yes, so these very nice verses here, which we'll read through one by one for the following week. This is Prahlad Maharaj glorifying Lord Nrsingadev. Not long ago, what was it, about 5 weeks ago, was the appearance day of Lord Nrsingadev. The disappearance day of Hiranyakashipu. Very nice day in our calendar. So, Srila Prabhupada here in the purport, he focuses on a couple of different things. One of those things, though, is how the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears in the different yugas. In first of all, Satya Yuga, then Treta Yuga, then Dwapara Yuga, he appears often in very sort of dramatic forms. Like we just mentioned Lord Nrsingadev. Very dramatic form of the Lord. And there are many others which are also quite dramatic. And in these different forms, the Lord shows in his practical activities how he's the Supreme Lord. Yes, so of course he also teaches different things generally in all the different incarnations. But in the first 3 yugas, a very important part of his mission is to show people how he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, he does all these very superhuman things. In Bhagavad Gita, of course, Lord Krishna displayed the universal form. And it was a very dramatic thing. Arjuna was watching, and when he saw that form, it was too much for him. Particularly he saw, at least after some time, he saw the particular aspect of the universal form called Kala Rupa. Kala means time. Kala Rupa, the Lord's form as time. And when Arjuna saw, in that Kala Rupa, Arjuna saw all the warriors and just so many people rushing into the mouths of the universal form. Actually, he saw them running into the mouths of the universal form and being eaten up, just crunched and scrunched and devoured by the universal form. Yes, so it was extremely shocking for Arjuna. And up till that point in time, for all the years that he'd been present on the planet, Arjuna had been relating with Krishna just as a relative. As a cousin, or we in Veda culture they say as a cousin brother. Means the mood is basically of a brother. Very friendly, informal type of mood. But when he saw that dramatic universal form, then immediately he understood very clearly that he's not just my friend or cousin, he is God. So he became extremely respectful. But even more than respectful, the vividness of the scene was so overwhelming that it was intolerable for him. So therefore he requested Krishna, you please withdraw this form. First of all, let me see, withdraw the universal form, let me see your four-armed form. But even that was not really sufficient. Yes, please, not just the four-armed form, please show me your two-armed form. So this happens to people oftentimes when they see such superhuman forms of the Lord. They become very impressed, very respectful, and they enter into a mood of worship. And that's one of the reasons why he displays such forms. Yes. But however, when the Lord appeared as Lord Chaitanya in this Kali Yuga, it was very different.
Kita vertus, kai viešpats Čaitanija ateina į šią jugą, viešpats Čaitanija tai visiškai kitaip būna.
He is no less the Supreme Personality of Godhead than he was when he appeared in those other forms.
Jis ne ką mažiau yra aukščiausias Dievo asmuo, nei kaip prieš kitas jugas.
In fact, Lord Chaitanya is a direct manifestation of Krishna, who is the original Supreme Lord.
Ir jis yra aukščiausias Dievo asmuo, tai kaip viešpats Krishna aukščiausias Dievo asmuo.
All the other forms, at least the great majority, or practically all, of the other forms of the Lord, even Nishingadev, they're like partial forms.
Visos kitos formos, skaitant ir viešpatį Nisimhadevą, yra dalinės inkarnacijos.
Yes, and but still, even though they're partial, still they're so extremely impressive.
Netgi jei jos ir yra dalinės, jos yra be galo įspūdingos.
So, but as Prabhupada mentions in the purport, and as we've read, of course, in Chaitanya Charitamrita,
Kaip Prabhupada mini komentare ir kaip mes skaitome Chaitanya Charitamrita,
that when Lord Krishna appeared as Lord Chaitanya, he practically never, hardly ever, showed anything very dramatic.
ir jis apsireiškė kaip viešpats Čaitanija, jis praktiškai neparodė nieko dramatiško.
The main time he did show that he was the Supreme Lord was during the Mahaprakash Leela.
Vienintelis toks dalykas, kada jis parodė, kad jis yra aukščiausias viešpats, tai per Mahaprakash Leela.
Then he called all the different devotees one by one
Vienas po kito jisai kvietė atsidavusius
and showed them, manifested different forms to show them how they had appeared with him previously in those other forms.
reiškia skirtingas formas ir tai parodė jiems, kaip jisai kitose laikuose su tais atsidavusiais būdavo.
So for those devotees, that was also very impressive.
Ir tiem atsidavusiam tai buvo labai įspūdinga.
Like in the case of Murari Gupta.
Kaip pavyzdžiui, Murari Gupta atvejais,
Murari Gupta's Hanuman.
jisai buvo Hanumanas.
So he appears with the Lord whenever he appears as Lord Ram.
Ir jis atsireiškia visą laiką su viešpačiu Rama, tai Rama ateina.
So Lord Chaitanya called Murari Gupta
Viešpats Čaitanija pakvietė Murari Gupta
and manifested the form of Lord Ram and Sita.
ir jis apreiškė viešpatės Ramos ir Sitos formą.
And Lord Nityananda manifested the form of Lakshman.
Viešpats Nityananda apreiškė Lakšmano formą.
And Murari Gupta saw these three personalities.
Murari Gupta pamatė šias tris asmenybės.
Oh, it was very overwhelming
Tai
experience.
buvo užgniaužinti patirtis.
He just collapsed on the ground offering obeisances.
Krito ant grindų, siūlydamas nusilenkimus.
But then the Lord called him, Murari, tell me what you see.
Ir viešpats tada paklausė, Murari, pasakyk, ką matai.
And Murari said, oh, you are Lord Ram and Mother Sita?
Jis pasakė, o, tu esi viešpats Rama ir mama Sita.
Oh, and Lord Nityananda is Lakshman.
O viešpats Nityananda tai Lakšmanas.
What an amazing scene.
Vau, koks nuostabus vaizdas.
Wow. I don't know if he said wow, but anyway, maybe. But then Murari Gupta said, but my Lord, there's one problem.
Bet viešpat, yra viena problema.
Where's Hanuman?
Kur Hanumanas?
Because Hanuman's always with Sita and Ram and Lakshman.
Nes Hanumanas visada su Sita, Rama ir Lakšmanu.
And Lord Ram, Lord Chaitanya's Lord Ram, Sita Ram, said, Murari, look at yourself.
Ir tada pasakė, pažiūrėk į save.
And Murari looked at himself and saw, oh, I'm Hanuman.
Ir Murari pasižiūrėjo, o, aš gi Hanumanas.
Ooh. And then he just fainted in ecstasy.
Nuosto iš ekstazės.
But generally such things, or I will say generally such things were just not happening.
Ir
As Prabhupada mentions the purport, Lord Chaitanya was just living as a devotee and interacting with everyone practically as a devotee. And as Prabhupada says here, sometimes some devotees would recognize, aha, I know who you really are. You are the Supreme Lord. And Lord Chaitanya would block his ears. Vishnu, Vishnu, stop this. Don't say things like that. Because he was immersed in the mood of a devotee. Prabhupada talks about this from different perspectives. I mean, in different places in his books and so on. Prabhupada makes the point. One point Prabhupada makes is that in Kali Yuga, people, if there's someone impressive, then people who are impressed by that person, they like to imitate the person. For example, when Adhikata Prabhu and I were just, I think, teenagers, then along came the very famous musicians, the Beatles. And they had a number of sort of characteristics which were quite different from similar people just before them. Before that time, all the teenagers and all the young people had short hair. They had long hair. Suddenly, all the young men had long hair. Oh yes, it was amazing actually. It was practically universal. Did you have long hair, Adhikata Prabhu? You did? Sometimes. Sometimes I had very long hair. And it was because they had long hair. And we, or all young people, were very impressed by them. So we imitated. So Prabhupada makes the point that if, when Lord Krishna came as Lord Chaitanya, if he had just openly, regularly displayed his potencies as the Supreme Lord, then so many people would have copied him. And there would be so many bogus incarnations. Here in Lithuania, there would have been many, many, many bogus incarnations. I think so far we have not had so many bogus incarnations in Lithuania. Did you have any?
Ar yra?
Yes. Yes, Eli Bill. But, oh yeah, Jesus incarnations. Okay. So, but even though Lord Chaitanya did not really display himself openly as God,
Nors viešpats Čaitanija, jisai neapreiškė save kaip viešpačiu.
and he was only in India,
Ir jisai buvo tik Indijoje.
still in India there are enough bogus incarnations.
Vis dėlto Indijoje yra pakankamai netikrų inkarnacijų.
Prabhupada discusses this in more depth elsewhere.
Šila Prabhupada kitur paminė daugiau apie tai.
In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada talks about how difficult it is to become a successful bogus incarnation.
Ir vienoje iš vietų Chaitanya Charitamritoje Šila Prabhupada mini, kad kaip sudėtinga tapti sėkminga netikra inkarnacija.
Because in order to become a successful bogus incarnation, you have to be able to impress enough people so they will become your followers.
Kad tapti sėkminga netikra inkarnacija, tu turi palikti įspūdį pakankamai kiekiui žmonių, kad jie susižavėtų.
What is the value of a bogus incarnation with no followers?
Kokia vertė iš netikros inkarnacijos be pasekėjų?
Yes. First of all, if there aren't enough followers, he will not get enough donations,
Visų pirma, jeigu nebus pakankamai pasekėjų, nebus pakankamai aukų.
and he will not be able to maintain his body.
Ir jisai net tada nesugebės išlaikyti savo kūną.
And the bogus incarnation will have to get a job in the factory.
Ir galų gale jam teks susirasti darbą fabrike.
Yes. Vizavode. So there is a lot of competition between the bogus incarnations.
Ir yra nemažai konkurencijos tarp tų netikrų inkarnacijų.
Yeah. What do you say? Sarevnavania. And some of them are not successful enough.
Ir kai kuriem nelabai pasiseks.
Therefore, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada puts it in a very interesting way.
Ir Chaitanya Charitamrita Šrila Prabhupada gan įdomiai pamini.
In some parts of India, there are many unemployed bogus incarnations.
Kai kuriuose Indijos vietose yra neįdarbintų aukščiausių viešpaties netikrų formų.
Prabhupada says, loitering on every street corner.
Kurie tiesiog blaškosi, šlaistosi gatvėmis.
You understand loitering? Just hanging out, nothing to do.
Nėra ką veikti, tiesiog trinasi po gatves.
And that was even with Lord Chaitanya not showing that he's God.
Ir netgi jie taip daro, net viešpats Čaitanija neparodė, kad jis Dievas.
If he had shown that he was God on a regular basis, how many bogus incarnations would there be? There would be so many.
Ir jeigu viešpats Čaitanija būtų parodęs, kad jis yra aukščiausias Dievo asmuo reguliariai, mes tai galime įsivaizduoti, kiek daug būtų tokių dabar netikrų inkarnacijų.
And of course, understanding this tendency of the conditioned souls to imitate people who impress them.
Ir suprasdami tą situaciją žmonių imitacijos, jeigu mato kažką įspūdingo.
So Lord Chaitanya, he conducted himself as a devotee.
Tai viešpats Čaitanija apreiškė save kaip atsidavęs.
So when people are impressed by him,
Kai žmonės įsikvėpia iš jo,
they'll become devotees.
tokiu atveju jie taptų atsidavęs.
They'll imitate him and become devotees.
Jie imituotų jį ir taptų atsidavęs.
Yes. So this is the sort of the strategy, you could say, of Lord Krishna in the Kali Yuga.
Tai viešpaties Krišnos kaip ir strategija Kali Jugai.
Yes. Somehow or other get people to take up the process of devotional service.
Vienokiu ar kitokiu būdu įkvėpti žmonės priimti atsidavimo tarnystę.
But then, as actually the verse itself says, the Sanskrit says, on the basis of that, Krishna is known sometimes as Tree Yuga.
Ir kaip posmėje sakoma, kad kartais Krišna žinomas tokiu vardu kaip Tri Yuga.
Like he only appears in 3 yugas.
Kaip atrodytų, kad jis apsireiškia kaip tik 3 jugose.
He doesn't only appear in 3 yugas, but it seems like that.
Jisai neapsireiškia tik 3 jugose, bet taip gali pasirodyti.
And therefore he's known as Tree Yuga.
Dėl to jis žinomas kaip 3 Yuga.
Yes. So, let's see then. So then Srila Prabhupada goes on to discuss how Lord Chaitanya established the Sankirtan movement.
Toliau minima, kaip viešpats Čaitanija įtvirtina Sankirtanos judėjimą.
Yeah. Prabhupada quotes the famous verse from 5th chapter, 11th canto, Bhagavatam.
Ir Šrila Prabhupada jisai Bhagavatam įžymų posmą cituoja.
Krishna varnam tusha krishnam sangopangastra parshadam yagyai sankirtana prayer yajanti hi sumedha sa. That in this age of Kali, Krishna appears in a non-blackish form.
Kad Kali Jugai Krišna apsireiškia ne juodoj formoj,
Means in a golden-colored form.
auksinės spalvos formoj.
And he's surrounded by many associates.
Jis apsuptas daugybės palydovų.
And in the company of all those associates, he performs the Sankirtan Yajna.
Ir būdamas su tais palydovais, jis atlieka Sankirtanos jagą.
And when he performs the Sankirtan Yajna, then amongst the ordinary people, those who are intelligent enough, they take part also.
Ir tie žmonės, kurie mato Sankirtanos judėjimą, paprasti žmonės tarp jų išmintingiausi priima ir prisijungia prie Sankirtanos judėjimo taip pat.
And Srila Prabhupada says in the purport,
Šrila Prabhupada mini komentarė,
the entire Krishna consciousness movement is based on the principles of the Sankirtan movement,
visas Krišnos sąmonės judėjimas paremtas Sankirtanos judėjimo principais,
which was inaugurated by Lord Chaitanya.
kuris buvo pradėtas viešpaties Čaitanijos.
Therefore, devotees, all wonderful Lithuanian devotees,
Dėl to visi nuostabūs Lietuvos atsidavusiai
and others too,
ir žinoma kiti,
we should understand this point clearly.
mes turim aiškiai suvokti šitą.
When we talk about the Krishna consciousness movement,
Kai mes kalbam apie Krišnos sąmonės judėjimą,
we are talking about the Sankirtan movement.
mes kalbam apie Sankirtanos judėjimą.
Yeah. Means we're talking about Krishna consciousness now as being a process in which we, the practicing devotees, we present Krishna consciousness, particularly the chanting of the holy names, to the world.
Ir mes, kai kalbam apie tai, ką mes turim padaryti, mes turim parodyti, mes rodom pasauliui Sankirtanos judėjimą.
And as we mentioned last night, of course that is very good for the people.
Kaip paminėjom mes praeitą vakarą, kad tai labai svarbu žmonėms.
But it's not only very good for the people,
Ir ne tai, kad tai labai palanku žmonėms,
it's very good for us.
ir mums palanku.
Actually, for our own purification and progress in Krishna consciousness, we need to help ourselves by participating in the Sankirtana movement.
Mums patiems, mes dalyvaudami šiame procese, mes savo Krišnos sąmonį labai stipriai padedame.
Yes. Without participating in the Sankirtana movement, even if we're trying to be Krishna conscious somehow or other, it will be very difficult.
Nedalyvaujant Sankirtanos judėjime, bandymas būti Krišnos sąmoningu, tai bus labai sudėtinga.
In fact, it will not just be very difficult, basically, it will not really be possible.
Ne tai, kad labai sudėtinga, praktiškai neįmanoma.
And we see how this is manifesting in different ways in different places in India.
Ir matom, kai apsireiškia skirtingose vietose, pavyzdžiui, Indijoje.
India, of course, India is Punya Bhumi. It is that pious place which is the main place within which the Lord appears.
Indija tai yra tokia punya bhumi, kur palanki vieta, kur Viešpats apsireiškia.
And in India, there's so much, in different ways, different types of Krishna consciousness.
Ir Indijoje yra skirtingose vietose skirtingo tipo kaip Krišnos sąmonė.
So many temples of Krishna, or at least Vishnu or Narayan.
Tiek daug skirtingų šventyklų Krišnos ar Višnu ar Narayana.
But if we understand the history, we'll see that they have not been generally very successful.
Bet jei pažiūrėtume į istoriją, mes pastebėtume, kad jie nelabai buvo sėkmingi.
For example, if we go to Vrindavan,
Pavyzdžiui, nuvykus į Vrindavaną,
then there's so many temples.
yra daugybė šventyklų.
In the temples, they're usually very nice deities.
Dažniausiai tai labai gražios dievybės.
The people try to look after the deities nicely.
Žmonės stengiasi rūpintis gražiai jomis.
But you may have noticed that in a number of temples, there are more than one set of deities.
Bet turbūt pastebėt, kad šventyklose dažniausiai yra daugiau porų dievybių nei viena.
Like if you go to the Radha Damodar temple, it's a very famous temple.
Kaip pavyzdžiui, Radha Damodaras, labai žymė šventyklą nuvykus.
Shri Gornitai Ke. So yeah, if you go to Radha Damodar temple, you'll see in the center is Radha Damodar.
Centre ten stovi Radha Damodaras.
But then next to them there's another set of Radha Krishna deities.
Bet šalia jų yra vėl Radha Krišna dievybės
And on-
komplektas.
And on the other side there's another set,
O kitoj pusėj vėl kitas.
big deities.
Didžiulės dievybės.
And there's even a fourth set of big
Ir
deities.
netgi yra ketvirtas komplektas didelių dievybių.
And you might wonder, what are these deities doing here?
Ir galima pagalvoti, ką jūs čia veikia.
It's the Radha Damodar temple, but you got all these other deities.
Čia yra Radha Damodaro šventykla, o čia tiek daug dievybių.
Why don't they have their own
Kodėl
temples?
jos neturi savo šventyklų?
Well, the interesting thing is, devotees, they used to have their own temples.
Įdomus momentas atsidavusi, kad jos iš tikrųjų turėjo savo šventyklas.
But after some time, the devotees couldn't maintain the temple.
Bet po kiek laiko atsidavusi nebesugebėjo išlaikyti šventyklos.
Even we see in ISKCON in certain parts of the world.
Kaip ir Iskone mes galim pamatyti skirtingose pasaulio vietose.
In some places, the devotees are struggling to maintain the temple and the deity worship up to a nice standard.
Atsidavusi kai kuriuose vietose sudėtinga tampa rūpintis gerų standartų dievybėmis.
So, and what is the reason for that?
Ir kokia priežastis to?
The reason is, at least the sort of fundamental reason is, they are not doing enough preaching and Sankirtan.
Pagrindinė priežastis, kad jie nepakankamai pamokslauja ir atlieka Sankirtanos judėjimą.
Therefore, new devotees are not coming.
Dėl to nauji atsidavusiai neateina,
Old devotees are sometimes going.
o seniai būna
and not enough donations are coming.
ir nepakankamai aukų ateina.
And eventually it reaches the point, well, anyway, that's happening in some of our ISKCON temples.
Tai būna ir atsitinka mūsų kitose ISKCON šventyklose.
But that's what has happened in Vrindavan.
Bet taip ir atsitiko ir Vrindavane.
In many temples, because they were not preaching and doing Sankirtan enough, they ran out of men and money.
Daugybė šventyklų, kadangi neatliko Sankirtanos judėjimo, jie pritrūko tiek žmonių, tiek pinigų.
And that's because they're not preaching and not doing enough Sankirtan.
Dėl to, kad nevyko pamokslavimas ir nebuvo atliekama pakankamai Sankirtanos.
Some of them never do these things.
O kai kurie iš vis tokių dalykų net nedaro.
Yeah. So, yes. So in order to be Krishna conscious in this Kali Yuga, one must engage in the Sankirtan movement.
Tam, kad būti atsidavusi šitam Kali Yugai, mes turime užsiimti Sankirtanos judėjimu.
Otherwise, all the nice temples, deity worship, buildings, and all these things, everything will deteriorate.
Nes galų gale viskas, šventyklos, dievybių garbimas, viskas po truputį nyks.
And Prabhupada talked about this particular phenomenon,
Šila Prabhupada apie šitą momentą jisai kalba.
that if we don't preach and do enough Sankirtan,
Jeigu pakankamai nepamokslausim ir neatliksim Sankirtanos,
then it'll become very difficult to maintain the temples and deities.
paliks labai sudėtinga palaikyti šventyklas ir dievybės.
And Prabhupada said the devotees will think, why did our Guru Maharaj give us this big burden?
Ir atsidavusi pridės galvot, kodėl mūsų dvasinis mokytojas davė mums tokią didelę naštą.
We have to maintain the big building,
Mums reikia išlaikyti didžiulį pastatą
and we have to maintain the deity worship.
ir palaikyti dievybių garbinimą.
But we don't have enough men, we don't have enough money.
Mes neturime pakankamai žmonių ir pinigų.
Yes. So why did he leave us with this big burden?
Kodėl jis paliko mūsų tokią naštą?
But Prabhupada made the point that if we do preach and do Sankirtan very actively, then all these things will come.
Šio Prabhupada mini, kad jeigu mes aktyviai užsiimsim šią veiklą, tai tie dalykai visi ateis.
So the movement will progress and we will progress.
Judėjimas tobulės ir mes tobulėsim.
Through engaging in the Sankirtan Yajna, we become benefited.
Atlikdami Sankirtanos jėgį, mes gausim naudą.
It's not only for the other people,
Čia neskirta kitiems žmonėms.
it's for us too.
Skirta mums.
Yeah. So, by the grace of the Lord, you have all been given enough intelligence.
Viešpaties malonės dėka, mes visi gavome pakankamai intelekto.
You knew I must come on the Padayatra,
Jūs žinojot, aš turiu atvažiuoti Padajatrą.
and you are here.
Ir jūs esate čia.
Congratulations.
Sveikinu.
So today's the first day. We're going to go out to Kedanaye,
Taigi šiandien pirmoji diena ir mes vyksim į Kėdainius.
and let's really try and get into it.
Ir pasistengim pasinerti.
And if we get into it nicely, we'll see how the people respond very nicely.
Ir jeigu mums pasiseks, tai pamatysim, kaip žmonės bus sakys gražiuoju.
And we'll see how nice we feel at the end of the day.
Ir pamatysim, kaip mes gerai jausimės dienos gale.
Because we have so many programs,
Kadangi turėsim tiek daug programų,
we may become a little tired.
gali būti, kad pavargsim truputį.
But Prabhupada said that it is good to be tired in Krishna consciousness.
Šila Prabhupada yra sakęs, kad Krišnos sąmonėje yra gerai pavargti.
So when you lay down to sleep at night,
Kad kai vakare jau atsigulat miegot,
you don't just lie there
tiesiog negulite tenais.
with your mind running in this way and that.
Ir protas tenais bėgioja.
You just lie down and you're asleep.
Tik padedi galvą ir jau tenais nebėra.
We have these bodies have energy.
Mes turim šios kūnus ir jie turi energiją.
We have to use the energy in devotional service.
Turim panaudoti šią energiją atsidavimo tarnystėje.
Otherwise, the energy will use us.
Nes kitu atveju energija mus panaudos.
So therefore, full engagement in devotional service as much as possible is really vital.
Taigi panaudoti savo jėgas atsidavimo tarnystėje kiek įmanoma daugiau, tai yra be galo gyvybiškai svarbu.
So Prabhupada talks about this verse here from the Bhagavatam about Lord Chaitanya. And Prabhupada says, one who tries to understand Krishna through the medium of the Sankirtana movement that person knows everything perfectly. And that person is Sumedas, a person with substantial intelligence. And so I'm very happy to be here with all you devotees who have substantial intelligence. According to what Prabhupada says here, you all know everything perfectly. Because you've come out on Sankirtana. Jagannath Rathayatra, of course, involves Sankirtana. So let us really get into it. Sri Jagannath Rathayatra Mahotsava ke. Sri Harinam Sankirtan ke. Sri Hare Krishna Mahamantra ke. Srila Prabhupada ke. Go Premanande. Okay, Hare Krishna. Now, devotees, it's time for breakfast. So, have breakfast, and then we should be on the bus by 9:15 in 45 minutes. Anyone who wants to distribute books should see Bhakta Egidius Prabhu. Haribol.